Hi, I'm Gary Brown. Myself and some of my friends. This is my son Clay, and they got Donald here on the camera. We're the ones that some of the people that put these vehicles together. We were fed up with all high fuel prices. We figured, if you can't find a vehicle that gets the kind of mileage you want, maybe you just have to build it. Now, I was raised on a farm, and I've been around farm equipment all my life. Also, my brother and I have operated a farm equipment rebuilding shop for 30 years. We rebuild farm tractors. We knew that farm tractors were much more fuel efficient than automobiles. And I've always felt like there was a little dirty politics involved in that thing somewhere. So what we did is we bought some vehicles. This is a 95 Ford pickup truck, F-150. We bought this truck for $3,000. When we bought it, ran like new, but we pulled a V8 engine out. It had a lot of miles on it. So we bought a cheaper vehicle. It was clean, it was pretty, had a nice interior. So we pulled the gasoline engine out. And what we did is we went to install a 4-cylinder Ford tractor motor, because we mostly work on Fords. But the 4-cylinder was too heavy, so what we did is we went back and exchanged. We took the 4-cylinder motor back out and put a 3-cylinder in. So from the very start, I was making one mistake after another. Even though the 4-cylinder was too heavy, it would have been much smoother than the 3-cylinder. The 3-cylinder did not have enough horsepower, so I added a supercharger to it, which was $3,700. I'm doing everything wrong. That's what I told people to start with. We start something like this, you're going to do everything wrong you possibly can, I guess, to start with. So we went back to 3-cylinder, went with a supercharger to boost the horsepower. Now, these things aren't that hard to build. You can buy things. This came out of a wood chipper machine. It had a 4-cylinder Ford motor in it. It had the bell housing, clutch, pressure plate assembly with a disconnect lever. And we took that off. We just slid a T5 5-speed overdrive transmission in the back. So to open the transmission in the back, we had to make our own motor mounts. We had to make those fit. We had to change the front slip yoke on the transmission and shorten the drive shaft a little bit. Now, we added a 12-volt vacuum pump, so we have vacuum to run our brakes, and if you had automatic, it would shift the transmission, which some of the vehicles later on would be. And also, this works your air conditioner controls. But basically, what we got here is a package. This truck right here, when we first built it, we were tickled with it. We had a lot of money in it, a lot of things we did wrong to start with, including the 3-cylinder engine, because it's not as smooth as the 4. We later had the engine blueprinted and balanced, trying to get the shake out of it, but it just didn't work. But we love the truck. We call it Old Shaky. Now on the road, it smooths out. It does fine. This vehicle runs 100 miles an hour. It gets about 40 miles to a gallon. Power steering, power brakes, air, full-size truck. And we call it Old Shaky or our baby, whichever one you want to call it. But this truck right here, we spent a lot of extra money on it. We learned later on some shortcuts and things that work better, but this was our start. People just to buy Fords. This just happened to be the ones we found for sale that were high miles, low price, clean, pretty bodies and interiors. If we'd found Chevrolets first, we'd have bought Chevrolets or Dodges, wouldn't have made any difference to us. Toyota or whatever. Now, in our second, and this vehicle was one of the last pickups we built, we got an engine out of a Jacobson J10 reel cutter. Now, Toro had the same thing. It's got a 4-236 4-cylinder Perkins engine, and it had a bell housing on the back, and it had a heavy-duty Chevy truck transmission. When we didn't want a heavy transmission, we wanted overdrive. So we took the heavy-duty transmission out, went to a salvage yard, and we got them to exchange it for an overdrive transmission. So what we got here now is basically we got a Ford truck, we got a Perkins engine like they put in the Massey Ferguson farm tractor, and these things in a lot of other applications: skid steers, mud pumps, generators, irrigation pump, all sorts of things. But this particular engine was put in here for this pickup. Now, this engine was about 75 horsepower. We later added a turbo to boost it just a little bit. Now, after we mounted this one in this truck, this taught us some things, that you really need to have a 4-cylinder. It's much smoother, operates much better. Now, again, we used a 12-volt vacuum pump to run the brakes and the air conditioning. And we did things under the hood to try to save belts and pulleys. Like, for instance, we got a 12-volt thermostat-operated fan to cool the radiator. You don't have to go to large radiators on this truck. Standard radiators in the vehicles work fine. We got a lot of sophisticated stuff here, like this is an exhaust pipe that connects the hoses from the tractor engine to the truck. These pipes right here are just water pipes, connect the heater system off this engine. I think that came from Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere. But it's just, it's not that complicated. If you wanted a house built and you had this set of plans, you said, this is my dream home, this is what I want. If you can't build a house yourself, you don't say, well, I can't build a house, I'll never have this house. what you can do is you can get a mechanic, and believe me, there's plenty of them out of work right now in this financial meltdown we're in. You can get a mechanic to take our book, which by the way we sell on the internet, and go out and hunt down the material you need, the right running gear that you want for whatever application you have, and have them put it together. Now, if you go to one of these fancy college-educated mechanics and like it in these dealerships, they'll be completely lost. You got to go out there and you got to go to one of these old-time auto parts places and ask them who's the mechanics around town that's done dirt track, off-road, drag strip, maybe a little bootlegging. That's the people to talk to. These mechanics can put these things going. And it's not really that hard. You just have to have the determination to get in there and actually do it. Now these vehicles run clean, they run safe, they're comfortable to ride in on the highway, they run good in traffic. You can drive these things, every one we've built so far run over 100 miles an hour, every last one of them. Yet everybody calls me and says, I bet they won't run 40 miles an hour. Wrong. I don't know where to get the idea they won't run any faster than that. These things have all run 100 miles an hour or better. And I don't know where people get the misconception because the diesel and it just won't run. There's a drag strip vehicle out there on the market today that's running about like 160 miles an hour and a quarter mile. You know, that's with a diesel, and that proves that diesel is not slow. But when you put this package together, you just have to put together what you want and something to do your job. Now, if you want to go to a 1-ton or a larger vehicle, you go to a larger engine. Just like you go to an S10 or a Ranger for a smaller pickup or something like a Isuzu or a Toyota, you go down to a smaller engine. I suggest on an engine like that, you go to like a Kubota 4-cylinder, 60, 65 horse turbo diesel engine. That'll be fine. That'll do what you want to do. Man called me last week, and he just put a 4-cylinder, 65 horse Kubota 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine in a 99 Isuzu truck. He was very pleased with it. I've talked to people across this country. People have bought this book, and for some reason this inspired them. One guy put a 4020 John Deere engine in a Class A 48-foot motorhome. We got people that's put these small Kubota engines and Jeeps, and I'm not talking about just like the Cherokee, I'm talking about the CJ7s and 5s. And anytime you change out a gasoline engine and go to a diesel engine, you're going to get 2 to 3 times the gas mileage simply because the diesel burns the fuel more efficiently. 2/3 of the gasoline you pour in that tank, whether it's $2 a gallon or $10 a gallon, blows out the exhaust. A diesel burns about 98% of the fuel that goes through the engine. It's more thorough, it burns the engine, it burns more thoroughly in the engine, you don't have as much waste, and it's much more economical. Now, another thing about diesels last 2 to 3 times as long. It's not uncommon to have diesel power like Mercedes-Benz automobiles that'll run 500,000 miles without overhaul. And these large trucks, some of them run 500,000 to more miles without overhaul. Diesels generally last longer to get better mileage. They're less finicky. They're easier to service. I just believe that we got a conspiracy to rob us blind. That's the meltdown in this country we've seen in the last few months. I hate to be one that says I told you so, but I told you so. These oil companies will rob us blind. They're giving tight money to the senators and congressmen. They buy them off. They're buying off the networks with a giant millions and millions of dollars in advertising money, and we're left just to be victims. They're cleaning us out. If anybody believes that the housing industry brought our economy down, I've got some nice beachfront property in Tennessee. I'll make you an outstanding deal on, and I'll throw in a bushel basket of porcupine eggs to go with it. It's the oil companies that robbed us, that's brought our economy to its knees. Now, what we got to do, we got to stop our senators and congressmen from getting that PAC money. If every dollar they take costs us millions, we got to stop it. It's got to be done. I want to show you one more vehicle.